Welcome to the School of Hard Thoughts podcast. I'm Adrian Davis, and this is my compadre.
Hi, everybody. My name is Green. They call me Gringo, and I'm okay with that.
How you doing this week?
Can't complain. It's been a busy week. How about you, buddy?
Yeah, same thing. Busy week, work and stuff like that. And then, of course, this time of year, it always sucks for me. I just don't like it.
You know, I've noticed that a lot of us human organisms experience a bit of melancholia, to put it in old terms.
Yeah, and there's a lot of things going on there. There's seasonal affective disorder, which is a true thing, and that has
absolutely
that actually has to do with the lack of sunlight.
So you've lived in an area that doesn't get as much sun. We're broadcasting, by the way, from Tucson, Arizona, at the famous Sam's again, because they keep letting us back for some reason. I don't know why they do that, but because they love us. But we get a lot of sunlight here, and I do think we take that for granted.
Yeah. I was complaining about how cold it was. It's probably going to be like 63 or 64 today.
I'm over here. I'm in 3 layers if you're watching on YouTube.
Oh, yeah. I have 3 layers on, too. It just doesn't look as
And you got to check it out. Check us out on YouTube, School of Hard Thoughts podcast, and you can see how us desert rats gear up for
60-degree weather.
60-degree bullshit. Below 75. I'm like this,
I know, right?
man. But no, so we both lived in areas. I lived in the Pacific Northwest in Olympia, Tacoma, and Seattle. You lived in Delaware.
Yeah.
And
Pittsburgh.
Hence the Steelers nation, everything.
That's right.
And there is a significant difference when that sun doesn't come up till around 7 or 8 in the morning.
And goes down at like 5:30.
Yeah.
No. So, yeah, and there's studies, and there's, it's an actual diagnosis in a DSM-5 that,
right.
Seasonal affective disorder is an actual thing.
Because there are nutrients in sunlight that aren't just for plants.
Right. And like everything else we're going to talk about today, I think it's a confluence of things. It's not just one direct cause, but,
an amalgam.
Yeah. And this time of year, you're fighting the bills and how to provide Christmas if you do that, which
Christmas, Hanukkah,
regardless
Kwanzaa,
of religious
Ramadan.
affiliation, everybody kind of does Christmas. Everybody kind of does the gift giving thing.
Well, it's such a overbearing kind of culture in Western cultures.
Yeah.
Even if, like you say, even if I were a Saudi observing Ramadan, I'd still probably throw up a tree for the kids.
Of course, yeah. Throw up a tree for the kids and,
put up a very select nativity scene.
There's always certain people aren't there.
Exactly.
But, there's always the gift exchange thing
parties.
At the office party.
Yeah.
There's always the holiday parties or the Christmas parties.
Yeah.
And of course you add to that, the extraordinary political times that we're living in, where there are those of us who believe life here began out there. Now, another Battlestar Galactica reference. Now, there are those of us who believe we are, just nipping at the edges of fascism, and in our own country, in our own government, with our own populace.
It does seem like we're toying with the idea.
Yeah, and so you add that to income inequality, and the fight over whether or not the economy is getting better or not. Who's it getting better for?
Right.
Because, the numbers don't lie. The economy is getting better.
Sure. For investors and companies that know how to buy their stock back.
And then you look at the so-called unemployment rate, which when Obama was in office and the unemployment rate was declining, Sean Hannity was quick to say, yeah, but the job participation rate is the worst it's ever been.
Sure.
So they're not even looking at the job participation rate now.
Who is Sean Hannity? John Hannity?
He's some asshole. That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So are we.
Not like that.
No, I know.
But yeah, so now they're not even looking at it, and they're saying, well, it's the the lowest ever, and then you'll have the president make sure he chimes in and mentions every ethnic group that he
has ever met.
Yeah, he tells his base to look out for, but he's like, oh, the blacks, it's lower for them than it's ever been, and yeah, okay, so has are those numbers reflective of jobs that actually can bring you above the poverty level?
And how many of those kind of, if you want to group people into huge clumps, how many of those people of different race and shit like that have been completely displaced by him and his father in certain real estate moves? I mean, maybe we shouldn't have elected a career criminal as president. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but we also, had a really bad alternative. So
no, I completely agree, and I understand initially why people voted for him. But moving past that, this unemployment doesn't mean. Okay, so let me gather my thoughts here. We do have a low unemployment rate.
We do,
but how many of those figures come from things like Uber Eats?
Right. Jobs that aren't going to,
meaningful career development kind of employment. I don't think there's too much of that going on. Sustainable employment, stuff that offers benefits, that garners respect, or garners advancement in the employment place.
Right, and then you're also looking at a host of jobs that aren't going to exist in 10 years. The robots are coming.
Oh, they're here, buddy.
Yeah, and they're coming for your job.
I got a whole article on that waiting.
It's not the migrant caravan that's coming for your job.
Oh my gosh. Let me just tell you about how I feel about some of that, especially coming into the holiday season. You have all these evangelicals of these mega churches saying, oh, we wish them best, but we're full. America's too full. And I'm like, you are the innkeeper talking to Mary and Joseph right now. Not that I completely believe in the prescription of biblical analogy.
If they do, and that's their story.
And so, so then put yourself in these shoes, and then yes, you're being turned away at the end, and you're going to have to. Wouldn't that be great, Adrian Ace? However, wouldn't that be great if it was all real, the New Testament, and the Lord and Savior was born in Nogales or Naco?
He'd have a lot to fucking answer for. No, he'd have a lot to fucking answer
because
for.
We turned him away. We're like, nah, here's some tear gas. Instead of some blankets or even water.
I don't buy the cherry picking. I don't buy the free will. I don't buy that. He has a plan. I don't buy any that bullshit.
But let's entertain the thought.
If he did exist and he was coming back, I'd have a bone to pick with him.
Well, sure. I mean, but he'd probably be like, "Hey, that wasn't me, man. I rolled away the stone. I told y'all I'd be back. I'm just as surprised as you guys." He's got a lot of work to do, But yes, it is the holiday times, and we want to wish all of you a happy holiday season, whatever you choose to celebrate.
Yeah, happy holidays. Just try to keep your spirits up through it.
Exactly.
Enjoy it. As much as I play the dour atheist, anti-capitalist type of guy, go out there and buy stuff and have fun with your kids and play in the snow.
And that's what it's for. It's for the youth. It's for the young people.
It's for everybody. It's for the old people. It's for the young people. It just make sure that you keep your mood up in a time that science and history and experience has shown is very just difficult for human beings.
So let's just talk about that then. The CDC. Sorry, my voice is changing over here. I just cracked. I'm going through the change.
Puberty again. Yeah.
God, again? I really sucked at it the first time, man. I can hardly wait.
Puberty wasn't bad for me, but anyway,
no?
Good.
Okay, well, that's another podcast. We oftentimes try to... And me, and I'm sure you yourself, we've both gone through loss and some dark thoughts. When you're approaching these dark thoughts, you try to kind of shrug them away. You're like, I just need to go do something today. But when they persist...
Yeah.
Okay, and I drink, and I love drinking because A, it's easy, 2, I'm good at it.
Right.
But I do notice that, sometimes those dark thoughts tend to linger, so I've tapered off on my drinking.
Yeah.
But previously, when I've done that, those dark thoughts seem to persist, and that it's okay to go and talk to somebody, a loved one, a professional. Don't just keep all that to yourself. You need to unload some of that stuff going on in your brain. Yes or no?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Talk therapy has still not been surpassed by any type of other therapy in the psychology realm. Talk therapy is the best thing for you, and talk therapy doesn't have to be a professional. It doesn't have to be somebody with a license.
It can be a podcast.
It can be a podcast. It can be your best buddy. It can be a total stranger that
Sure.
Just happens to have the compassion to let you unload on them. It can be the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, which happens to be 1-800-273-8255, and that's for when things get really dark and you're thinking about hurting yourself.
When you're starting to Google ways on how to...
Yeah.
You're like, hey, Siri.
Right.
I'm not feeling too great today. And I know I'm making light of it, but that's what I do with nervousness and hard situations. I diffuse it with humor.
We always do that with humor. We, use it as a defense mechanism.
But what is startling to me, Adrian, is the fact that the CDC has lowered the average American life expectancy.
Now, let's be careful how you phrase that, because the CDC didn't do it.
No, they went out.
The CDC said we're going to make them live less. No, there was there's a study, and they're constantly doing research.
No, okay.
And so I
don't mean the CDC is out there.
U.S. life expectancy is is lower than it was in the past decade, and there are and that's why we're getting back to this topic of no specific thing. There are an amalgam of reasons that our life expectancy is lower. One of them is that the suicide rate is through the roof.
I mean, it's jumped incredibly in the last decade.
Yeah, it is higher now than it has been in 50 years.
And it seems like it's pretty much evenly spread across demographics, regardless of race, economic status.
It doesn't matter.
Political affiliation. But what genre, what group is experiencing higher?
There's one group where it is just completely out of control, and that's veterans.
God damn, that's heartbreaking,
man.
man.
And that's one of the things that hits home for me. It's one of the reasons that I don't like this time of year.
Well, we both know some great people that have passed. There
are some vets in my life that are gone because of suicide,
and it's tough to talk about. It's something that needs to be talked about, though.
Yeah. Absolutely. The more you talk about it, the better it is.
Exactly. And why? What do you think? If you had to try to nail some Jell-O to a wall, what do you think might be the catalyst for so many vets opting out? If you want to use the parlance of our times,
I think it's again, there's not just one thing for them, but they have the added pressure. We all have our problems in everyday life, and all of our suicide rates are up.
Right.
But then add to the fact that your job at any time could be your sergeant tapping you on the shoulder and handing you some papers saying, by the way, you're going to Afghanistan for 18 months. You're going to Iraq for 18 months, or
after you've already had a hard time of it over there.
As the way things are looking with this administration, we're going to Iran.
Oh yeah.
So
I maintain that we never really left Iran, but that's just me, and several million other people.
Yeah. So I think they have the same problems, but they're multiplied by the fact that they are a member of an organization who is charged with the safety of the country, and their job at any time is to go fight and maybe lose their life for that country. And then you add on top of that, that when they come back, with missing limbs and, PTSD and all kinds of other problems, the VA has gotten better, but it's still shitty.
Obviously,
it's
obviously
still
if this
shitty.
many people. Oh wait, okay, so you can't alleviate certain symptoms, but can there be something done while one is still enlisted, still an active service member? Is there some place for them to go if they're feeling that way about like their orders, or is it just, once you sign up, you got to do whatever you have to do? But are there no counselors within the military?
We'd actually have to talk to
an active
duty member for what's going on right now. But I can tell you, it's kind of a balance between, orders are orders. You're going unless you're some type of risk to the unit.
I understand
or yourself, you're going, but are there mental health services available? Absolutely. I witnessed that on more than one occasion with friends and people I know, both unsuccessfully and successfully.
Sure.
Acquaintance of mine who, unfortunately, we're not friends anymore. But he has a success story of going through.
Well, life is long. You might breach that bridge of friendship again. You never know.
I don't know about that. But anyway, he has a success story of having dark thoughts and being suicidal and having the military help him out of it.
So you were part of the was it Wilmington, Delaware police force?
Yes.
Okay, so if there were an officer that were having a hard time, were there resources that officer could go and use? So from your own personal experience.
Most of those resources were what we called going out to we had our own, it's the Delaware Association of Police, and it's just a private club, so that means there is no 2 a.m. time for last call. It's just like bring your own, and
you sit down and grind through your issues.
God,
I think that's so very
in
healthy.
Hollywood,
actually,
it's always been called choir practice, and I think that came from the NYPD. But yeah, there's a lot of maybe not so healthy alcoholic support.
Well, sure,
but they're just like every employer I've ever worked for. There's always the employee, assistance program. There's always EAP, and they don't always call it EAP, but it's always available. And it's part of the FMLA law, so it has to be made available. But yeah, there are resources out there, but the problem is, again, one of the things that this CDC, the report through the AP by Mike Strobe, mentioned was that you're not going to, in fact, in the majority of cases of successful suicide attempts, you don't see any history of mental illness. You don't see any history of depression or taking a medicine or something for that kind of condition. And I always, when you dig deeper, you find it, but that's after the fact.
Well, and that raises a decent question. Are these things, are these thoughts, these patterns of thought, inherent in somebody, or do they manifest so quickly, and these people feel a modicum of shame or something like that? They feel that, like, if they were to go visit a head doc, a shrink, or whatever part want to use, do you think they might view that as a sign of weakness?
I think if you took a poll of just, I think especially men, but men in general, you grab anybody in the bar here and say, how do you feel about going to a shrink?
I'd never do that.
Yeah, right. Most, I think, and that's completely unscientific. And even if we did that, it would be completely unscientific. There's no control group.
No, it would not. There would be. It's a stat.
It would. There's like one or two people.
Stat, but it's a stat.
One or two
this
people.
Is America.
You don't have a control group.
This is America. We can sell this stat to any major news outlet.
Research is. I believe in real research.
Me too. Speaking of real research, according to a new report by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, 47,000 Americans died by suicide in 2017.
Right.
That's up. That's up significantly.
It is, and then another thing that has added to the.
That's more than all of the flus. All of the flus. right?
What was that?
That's more than all of the different types of fluenza out there. The influenza.
It could be. I don't know the numbers on that.
I'm looking at them right now. I'm looking at some numbers. They have nothing to do with any of the stats I'm talking about, but yeah, I'm saying that there's only a couple of hundred influenza deaths a year from people of viable age.
Yeah. Most people that die from the flu are vulnerable populations, like the elderly, the immunosuppressed, the young. But yeah, you and I don't die from the flu.
Not right now, not yet. Not from the current influenza strains that are out there, and we get our shots.
Now H1N1 killed killed a shitload of people.
47,000 is a big number, though.
Yeah. You're not gonna. I don't think with anything like the flu, you're gonna reach a 47,000 type number.
Unless people quit vaccinating their kids.
Well, that was one of the things on the list of contributing factors to the lowered life expectancy was an increase in flu deaths and an increase in obviously the opioid. Why can't I say that?
I'm the drinker. You're
I know,
not.
right? Man, it feels so good.
I couldn't say influenza just a second ago.
I can say influenza. But the opioid epidemic, took 70,000 people last year. 70,000 people last year.
Yes.
It surpassed car accidents as the number one cause of accidental death in America.
And that has not happened in a very long time.
That's fucking ridiculous.
That has not happened. Okay, so do you think one hand washes another on that one?
I just think you should wash your fucking filthy hands.
Jesus Christ, exactly.
You dirty, filthy
I don't
ape.
care who I piss or crap next to in a bathroom, if you're trans or
I don't
or a
care.
girl, boy. Just wash your fucking hands.
Squat, stand up. You could be a monkey. I don't care.
And that's uniquely,
wash your fucking hands.
In that, just as a sidebar, Your Honor.
Objection. No, go ahead.
Hearsay.
Just throwing out TV legal terms.
That's a uniquely American hang-up. Because if you go to other countries...
It depends. I
guess it depends on the
where
country.
you go. But yeah, some countries are.
Some countries do not care.
Yeah, they're not washing their fucking hands at all.
Or they don't really care who they're crapping or pissing next to because they're doing it in the street on the railroad tracks.
Yeah, and it's like a hole in the ground.
Exactly.
There's no plumbing.
No, this isn't. What do you think this is? The 20th century? Or the 19th century? No, a lot of these places.
I could see the dichotomy when I went to India. When
Jesus
we were,
Christ, that's right. You went to India.
Yeah, when I was in India,
I cannot see you in India. You're a germaphobe.
Trust me, I was hiding. I got sick too, but anyway.
Of course you did. I love all of the Indians out there. I love the country. It's a beautiful, colorful culture.
When we were back at our hotel, one of the nicer hotels I've ever stayed in my life.
Right?
You still couldn't drink the fucking water, though.
No, of course not.
But it was
the fucking plague.
It was one of the nicer hotels I stayed in my life, and it had a full toilet with a bidet.
Yeah.
And, it came
Hubba,
standard.
hubba. Yeah.
Nice shower. It was a big tub with the jets
a lot of places
and all that
to
stuff.
feel clean in.
And then we would go out to the field. Where the people live.
And if there's an exact opposite to what you were living.
Yeah, and if there's the exact complete opposite that I was living, and it's like you're in a hut, and if you got to go to the bathroom, there's a hole in the floor.
All I'm saying is if you've never seen a person
concrete
crap,
hole in the floor.
If you've never seen
sometimes it's not even concrete.
If you've never seen a person crap live in front of you, go to the New York subway system, or
any mental health or ER facility in the United States,
or to India.
Or to India, or
you're gonna see that, and man, I really derailed us. Sorry about that, Ace.
No, that's what podcasts are about.
Exactly.
So, but
we were talking about how some of these statistics as of lately are a little bit alarming in regards to people opting out. And I use opting out because, I don't know, man. it just feels like a more gentle term for something that's affected both of us. And I hate thinking about it, but it's come to a point where we can't push it aside anymore. Don't push your own feelings aside, and don't push your friends' feelings to a side either.
Right. And I think, and there's absolutely no data on this. I can't prove it. I didn't do any research. It's completely anecdotal. And yes, I am the king of saying anecdotal evidence isn't evidence. But
this is your podcast. This is our podcast. And we can do as we as we please.
But one of the things that I have seen is, there's got to be a certain amount of, well, this person did it, and this person was a celebrity, and I have these same feelings. If it was okay for Anthony Bourdain to kill himself, maybe it's okay for me to kill himself.
You had to mention that one.
And then, well, I'm going to mention another one, which is even more. It blew me away when it happened because it was so planned and so...
That one hurts.
So it was so planned and so mimicking of the other death. So Chris Cornell committed suicide.
God damn.
And then
that one hurt
I think
too.
It was a year to the day later. On the anniversary of Chris Cornell's suicide by hanging, which is a very weird way to kill yourself. It's not. Trust me, it's not on the top 5. I don't think.
No, it's not. But it's definitely.
And that's something we could look up. But like, why would you look that up anyway? It's fucking morbid. But so a year to the day after Chris Cornell hung himself to death, his friend, who was really broken up about it, Chester Bennington from Linkin Park, hung himself to death. And that just tells me that there's got to be a little bit of almost acceptance in society where there's segments of society, especially of people who are going through things or perceive that they're going through things that they're like, well, look, he did it. Why can't I do it?
And you hit the nail on the head when you see celebrity, when you see people that seemingly have it all. They don't have anything to worry about.
Right.
All the bills are paid. They don't even deal with money anymore. They have people to deal with their money.
But you know what Biggie said, more money, more problems.
Oh, man, ain't that always the way? We miss you, Biggie. And we also miss you, too, Tupac. And we're still looking for your murderers right now. One of the ones the two ones that really hit me as far as people taking their own life were back in 2005. One of my biggest literary idols, Hunter S. Thompson.
Right.
And then, of course, Anthony Bourdain. That one actually teared me up.
Yeah, it did. And it's
both of them did, actually. And it's because these were both, I consider them both gonzo. Of course, Hunter S. Thompson was the inventor of gonzo journalism, kind of involving yourself in a story. And I considered Anthony Bourdain the gonzo of gastronomy. And they both kind of had this whole, fuck it, I'm going to live my life the way I want to, visceral, rule-breaking kind of, this is who I am, this is my whole heart. They held nothing back. Whenever they were doing movies, books, tours, whatever they were doing, they didn't hide any dark parts about them. They let everybody know about their...
Hemingway committed suicide, right?
He did.
That's okay.
Old Man in the Sea was overrated.
He was one of the most prolific and best writers.
A great American writer, and he actually helped out a lot of humanitarian
aid. The fact that he killed
aid.
himself was okay because the horror that he put everybody through. Have you ever read anything by Hemingway?
I've read most of Hemingway.
It sucks you in and then it stabs you in the kidney.
If you've ever read a lot of Hunter S. Thompson, it's the same way. And Bourdain is the same way. So maybe we're hitting a pattern. These people who know how to pull the heartstrings.
So everybody talks about the Red Wedding. And everybody talks about how George R.R. Martin,
just slays, beheads all of your loved ones,
kills all these beloved characters. But
way
before that, Ernest Hemingway.
Oh yeah.
If you read A Farewell to Arms, that entire book is setting you up to just want to fucking die. Because that entire book is a beautifully written story about World War I and a love affair.
Yeah.
And literally maybe 50 pages before the end, you know.
Oh, it all goes downhill.
It just all
very
goes to
quickly.
shit very
Everything
quickly.
unravels for the poor son of a bitch.
And you know, so like he spent
Do they still
the
do that?
entire book.
Is that still required reading?
It should be.
Absolutely. I think it should be.
But then again, with the rise in suicide rates, maybe it shouldn't be.
maybe
but
you're
yeah,
right.
it's he spends the entire book getting you to build empathy for these two characters, and then he just fucking kills one of them.
Yeah, and in a manner most gruesome. Another author that I think doesn't really deserve the accolades he does, but also kind of took me there. John Steinbeck, Grapes of Wrath. I get it. It was a hard time. But he had so many asides, and me and a good friend of mine were talking about this earlier. He had so many like weird allegory stories within that story that I'm like, oh, well, I guess opioids have been around for a while.
Oh yeah,
you know. I guess
since
he was.
They're a plant.
Yeah, exactly. I guess he was
They're
Shanghaied.
plant based.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is. I guess he was Shanghaied and decided to go off on a couple of aside stories, but you know. What can be done? What can we do for our friends?
I think we simply have to look out for each other. I don't think there's going to be a government agency that's going to be able to do anything.
I think it's beyond the government agency.
I don't think it's going to be a faith-based organization that's going to be able to do anything about it. I don't think it's going to be some kind of pill that somebody comes up with. It's going to come down to communities of people, whether it be families or friends or, you know, I don't care if it's a sect. You know, I don't care if it's Scientology. I don't care who it is. If you live in a group of people and you care about them, then you're going to have to look out for each other. So I just wanted to take a real quick housekeeping break. We want to apologize to our YouTube watchers
for
this
not
week.
being better looking.
Well, that's actually the truth is I noticed something technical about 5 minutes ago, and so we're not going to be able to have a YouTube
Did I mess
version of
up?
this. No, actually, I think I messed up.
Oh.
So
Thank God.
The YouTube version that we will have this time will be the same as we had with the first one.
Sure.
It'll be audio only
Okay.
with just a kind of picture there. Unless there's something I can work on to fix it. So I'm apologizing ahead of time.
They're just going to have to fap to previous images of us.
Exactly. We just gotta screenshot a picture of us up
Exactly.
there and throw it up
We
there.
know you're out there doing it,
Yeah.
you perverts. So let's delve into this a little more since we're digging our teeth into the nitty-gritty today, and we will get into some more lighthearted. I don't know. As I'm looking at my notes, maybe not. But
I
anyways.
mean, well, not even just your notes, just the way I'm feeling today.
Same here, buddy.
If lighthearted comes by,
Welcome to the motherfucking holiday episode.
yeah, exactly. If lighthearted comes by the nature of the way we interact, that's fine. But
Unburdening.
I'm not going to artificially try to cheer myself up.
Well, I am, and welcome to School of Hard Thoughts podcast. Here, holiday season 2020, what is this, 2018?
Yeah,
Okay.
2018 and it's December, which you didn't know. That's okay, though.
Ugh, I'm so terrible.
Prior to your first PBR.
I'm so sick of linear time.
Yeah, so is the Cisco. But anyway,
So
another reference.
I love it.
My references are
I
only
love
for
our
me.
rapport today. I've heard we've had great rapport, and today is an A++. Researchers have explained some of these startling statistics Okay, so we have 47,000-ish, and that's an estimate from direct successful suicide attempts. But then you have a figure like in 2017 from directly the CDC. You can go look at it yourself. I'm not going to go get it for you. I'm not going to post the link. You look it up. I'm looking at it on my computer right here. 70,000 drug overdose deaths in 2017, the highest there has been. And that includes the whole cornucopia of abusive behavior towards things like alcohol, cocaine, and then, of course, other things, and heroin.
Yeah.
Which, hang on, why is that making a comeback?
Oh, it's simple. And I'm not sure if we've talked about this on the podcast.
Why is heroin making a comeback? Don't we know all the great rock and roll stars, all the freaking great minds out of the whole lifetime?
It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with the fact that, and I always, anytime I talk about this epidemic, I apologize because I have been in the medical field for about 14, almost 15 years now.
Yeah.
And even though I am not the one who is responsible for it,
sure,
the opioid, which I can't say,
opioid,
the opioid. I had a girlfriend that couldn't say sorry; she would say sorry, but
better than sorry. Just kidding. I love you, Canadians. I love you guys. Don't get too close. Don't get too close to me. I don't want to get any of your tolerance on me.
But no, the reason for that epidemic is because, and again, I think it has to do with our system, but in America, we're like, hey, you know what? We have to make sure that we get these really good high scores on our satisfaction surveys so that Medicare can reimburse us at a higher level, so that we need to make sure that our patients aren't having any pain. So not only are we going to make sure that they don't have any pain, but we're going to add pain as a what we call the fifth vital sign.
Sure.
We're going to add pain as a vital sign, and on top of that, we're going to add initiatives that say, why aren't, to doctors and to practitioners and nurses and other people who treat patients that, hey, how come you're not dealing with this person's pain? We want pain to be a 0, and pain can't be a 0. Life is pain. Pain
I am
can't be
sorry.
a 0.
I do not agree with pain being a vital sign.
It's not. What's not? It was a marketing ploy, and at the same time, they were saying. What's up, Shaniqua?
Shaniqua, one of the best chefs here in town, wanted to make sure and come by and give us the middle finger here at Famous Sam's, Tucson, Arizona. We love him. He's also a Steelers fan.
So
he's not all bad. You were talking about pain not being necessary vital sign.
On top of that, the so-called experts and doctors and, the studies that came out during that time, and I just did air quotes for those
studies put on by Glaxo Wellcome.
Right. Yeah.
That's Nixon-era science.
Right. So that we're saying, oh, yeah, you can give, somebody has a stomach ache, you can give them oxycodone or morphine or Vicodin, and they'll be fine. And you can just keep giving it to them.
My teeth feel funny.
Oh, yeah. Well, and we were giving out Dilaudid for that shit.
Oh, excellent.
And
I had a long weekend coming up.
And we were just passing it out like candy.
Yeah.
And then, we looked up and there were all these addicts. And then, the same people that we addicted to these drugs were coming back into the ER. And
for addiction problems?
Well, no, it was what we call drug-seeking behavior. So they would basically make up an ailment or exaggerate an
soft
ailment.
tissue damage that can't be spotted in radiology or something like that.
My low back hurts, that type of thing.
I know that because I've abused the system myself. Just kidding. No, but seriously.
Everybody knows what we're talking about.
But I've had legitimate back problems back when I was a landscaper, and you should have seen the attending there. It's just like, oh, yeah, because at the time I think I was in my late 20s.
Right.
And it took a couple tests. He had to test to make sure that I had pain with some reaching and stretching and stuff, and my mobility was severely diminished. But it took that point, like he actually had to test me to make sure that I wasn't just like, hey, man, I'm out of pills.
Right.
can you get me some pills?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
he had to do that test, which I
Yeah.
actually
And
at
that
the
was
time I hated, but in retrospect I respect.
right, but that was the problem we ran into. We created addicts.
Right.
And then when we realized that we had created addicts, the addicts came back to us and we were like, these fucking addicts. Look at these fucking addicts. And
What
it's like
pathetic pieces. Who would do this?
Right. And then we kind of realized that we had done it. And so it was like, oh, well, what are we going to do about it? Well, what do we do about every problem that we have
Make a
with
different drug. Tramadol.
But what do we do with every problem that has to do with substances in America? We stop giving it out. We either go to prohibition or we make it illegal
Right,
or we
but
make
now
it
you
harder
have-
to get.
and now you have several million people
what do
with
you have to do?
DTs.
Right. So if you have those problems, what do? You find another source.
Oh, of course.
And guess what's the same as oxycodone?
Oh, that'd be heroin?
Yeah, that would be heroin. So there's your heroin problem.
Yeah. Well,
There's your
and,
heroin
and
problem.
heroin is
Brought
always
to you by the medical community. Thank you very much.
and poppy fields in the Middle East.
Yeah, but those poppy fields were in the Middle East way before we did this to people.
Oh, I know, but I'm just saying
Yeah.
now they're being corporately taxed.
But here's the other thing too about we went to Iraq for no fucking reason. At least when we were there, we could have burned every poppy field that was there.
Oh no! I have pictures, and I won't name them right now because
but they're U.S.
they mean
soldiers
to me.
guarding them.
Marines,
Yeah.
Marines with their fucking all their gear, and they're just over there, like fucking prison wardens.
Yeah, guarding poppy fields.
Walking up and down the utility roads.
Yeah, we should have just burned them to the ground.
Yeah, but hey, man, whoa, that's not fostering good relationships internationally, okay? You can't just go over there to a country that took down our towers and burnt down their
But again,
fields.
Iraq didn't do that.
Yeah, but nobody cares about that. Everybody
Iraq
thinks they
didn't
did.
do that, and
Everybody thinks they did. So isn't that just as
Iraq
good?
didn't do that, but then again, there aren't any poppy fields in Iraq. But Afghanistan had a cursory involvement in 9/11 as it was kind of the base of operations.
Cursory. You're being so polite all of a sudden.
No, I'm serious. If you think about it, did they launch missiles at us from Afghanistan? No. What actually happened in Afghanistan? I'll tell you where
what happened.
It came from. It came from Saudi Arabia.
I know that. And I tell you what happened with one of these big motherfuckers that decided to actually start the intellectual and emotional war with America, because somebody over there realized that we are very emotional and we wear our hearts on our sleeves, and they knew exactly how to attack us. Somebody read Sun Tzu's Art of War.
Right.
I'm not even kidding right now. And everybody out there, if you're capable of reading, read Sun Tzu Art of War, and you'll see
it's actually really short.
it's a small
But
little novella.
It's a difficult read.
It is a difficult read because it cuts to the quick. There are no passages that are just like, oh, I don't need to think about that. No, it's one of those that it's a small, important read that I think everybody that's capable of reading should read.
Yeah.
Because that's exactly what has been I'm losing the word. That's exactly what is.
You could say executed.
That's what's been executed on America by the Sharia people, by whoever doesn't exactly agree with us, whatever shadowy figures out there that don't
Right.
like American ideals.
Well, it's again an amalgam of different
Right.
people who don't like our policies,
But
because
they attacked-
maybe we happen to bomb the shit out of them at some point.
I mean, spoiler on Sun Tzu's Art of War. You've had a couple years to read it. It's been out for a while.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not the. It's not. I'm not spoiling the new Woodward book for you.
No.
But
Which is fantastic, by the way.
I can't wait to read it. I'm going to buy a hard copy and read it. But spoiler, it's about the best way to vanquish a foe is to attack the heart.
Yeah.
To attack their will to fight.
Right. Yeah, and that's what they did to us on 9/11. They just
Absolutely.
really decimated our morale.
Exactly. And that's the most effective way to attack any kind of foe, whether it's Conor McGregor or the Steelers or a huge global power. It still remains the best way to really hit somebody in the jewels, talking about poking your nose in areas that it doesn't really belong. And I laugh a little, but I also am sad a little for his family. There was a missionary, okay?
That went on. I'm not going to comment on this at all.
Oh, no? Really? That's what you're not going to comment on?
I'm just going to let you talk about it.
Okay, here we go. There was a missionary that went on down the holler fair piece. If you guys have ever seen Rambo, it's kind of like this, or Deliverance. He went down a river that he wasn't supposed to go, and he thought that he was protected by the almighty, innocuous, invisible forces that run the universe. He thought he could go to this tribe that even anthropologists, scientists, military installments will not go to this area of undocumented indigenous peoples, and he got killed.
Yeah, his name was John Chow, and he was a missionary.
And I do mourn his loss because I honestly think he was doing the right thing. But these people want nothing to do with modern society. And they don't just kill him, okay? For those of you that'll be like, oh, you're anti-Christian. They haven't just killed him. They've killed every single person.
Yeah, it's just a very xenophobic society. It's not... They
want zero to do with past... 14 BC.
Right.
They're happy with hunting and gathering, and they have been, and nobody else has messed with them. I don't know. Do you think we should let them live their life?
I think we should leave them the fuck alone because I don't like arrows in me.
That's it. That's it. And that's what I have to say about that. It's been a big thing on social media, a big thing in the news, so I felt obligated to report upon it. And there is a passage in the Bible that I'm aware of that says, don't worry about the speck of sawdust in your neighbor's eye, worry about the plank in your own. More or less, that's Jesus saying... Listen, worry about yourself. Don't worry about those guys.
Mind your own, stay in your lane.
Mind your own business.
That's Jesus' way of saying stay in your lane.
Stay in your lane. Jesus Christ. I mean, and that's all I'll speak on it. I know I'm making light of it. I'm laughing a little bit because...
And that's why I'm staying out of it because
it's the absurdity that makes it funny to me, personally.
Yeah, but anything I'm thinking right now is completely inappropriate because the man obviously had a family and that type of thing.
And my heart goes out to those people that cared for him. I'm sure he was a good human and thought he was going to do good things. But guess what? Reality is bigger than you. And if you're so...
And arrows kill you.
And if you're so... into yourself that you think that you can be the one that you've been specifically chosen by whatever deity you believe in to go and charge through and this magic veil is going to protect you, you are wrong. I don't care which deity it is or where you're trying to go to, you're wrong. Reality is reality for everybody. And that's if you do believe in big things, that's what links us all together.
I believe in arrows killing you.
There's physics. You know what else? You know what else the Lord?
I believe an arrow will
You know what else the
kill
Lord
you.
invented was physics. If you're that kind of believer. So condolences to his family, but don't be an idiot and think you can go to a previously undocumented, uncontacted tribe and go in there.
But that's not the point.
With magic.
The point is the exact opposite. It wasn't undocumented. It was highly documented.
Well, you know what I mean.
Like everybody knew.
Okay.
Hey, dude, don't go there.
Yeah.
If you go there, there's
Like I
a
said.
good chance that they're going to kill you. And when we say good chance, we mean it's going to happen.
It was like a 700 Club version of Rambo. He thought he could go up the river and be okay. Oh, all of a sudden I'm the bad guy. But no, he thought he could be okay, and he wasn't, and he isn't. And so let these people be. Let them live their lives. They are xenophobic, possibly for a reason. And but they've been this way for about 1,000 years. Let them do their thing. And if you run into people that don't want to have any business with whatever you're selling, then just be okay with that. Go sell it somewhere else. If you really feel that charged about something, join a Facebook group. Don't put yourself in harm's way just because of a belief, because reality is stronger than beliefs all the time.
I'm going to start a Facebook group about not liking arrows in me. So anybody who,
And these weren't compound bow arrows either. These were
Anybody-
flint. These were flint struck.
anybody who doesn't want an arrow
arrowheads.
in them at high speed, join my group.
These were not clean wounds. So that's the thing, you know. And I know we have people that listen to us that are Christian and that want to go and do good things. And I think you should. You should go make sure.
Yeah, but I think the people that listen to us that are Christian are not stupid.
Well, exactly, but just go make fresh water somewhere. Go help. Go
Yeah,
hand out
take a
malaria
well.
medicine.
Yeah.
You know, don't try to be the
So
wandering.
dig a well and pass out Bibles. That's
that's fine.
That's the
or
standard
even better,
model.
food.
Yeah.
Turn a fish sandwich into fishes and
You
loaves
still
for
have
God's
to.
sakes.
I mean, you know, I'm playing the devil's advocate. If you're proselytizing, you have to
Yeah,
proselytize.
you got to toe the line.
Yeah, so you can't just go out and do nice things for people and then on the way out just kind of whisper real quick, oh, by the way, there's this guy named Jesus Christ. You know, you kind of have to push it a little bit harder than that.
Hey, by the way, Christ. No, but if you do hand out Bibles, just tuck a little. It's a small book. It's called Allen Ginsberg's Howl. Just tuck that into each and every Bible. And just do that for me. Thank you. All right, moving on to different subjects.
Yeah, so I think we'd be remiss in not recognizing that today we lost President George H.W. Bush.
I very much respect his eloquence in handling the fall of the Iron Curtain.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't realize, especially nowadays, because we're so instantaneous news. We don't really read a lot of history as a culture nowadays. The fall of the Iron Curtain with Gorbachev was a pretty big deal.
Yeah, he had a big deal to do with that, about
Right
that.
after the
And,
Berlin Wall falling, too.
you know, and another thing that, you know, because presidents just don't do that anymore, but he was one, he was part of the greatest generation, and two, he was a World War II hero. He got shot down, you know, fighting the Japanese.
For those of you that follow my social media feed, I respect, ultimately, his service to American ideals during a very hard time to do that. When he
Yeah.
was 18, I was listening to the report that you had on your device there. When he was 18, what was that? A couple days after Pearl Harbor?
Yeah. He said that, you know, I signed up, I wanted to serve, and he goes, but I feel funny saying that. This is the kind of man he was. He said, I feel funny saying that because I'm not trying to seem like I was heroic or different. Everybody was doing it.
He's not garnering any kind of attention. He
Right.
doesn't want to seek any kind of adulation over it.
Right. So I have always had a personal rule about not censoring the way that I talk about someone who died.
I appreciate that.
Not changing my opinion of them. So, like,
I appreciate that
if you were
about
to-
you, Ace.
If you were like right after Michael Jackson died, if you were to ask me your my opinion of him, you might get something that you would be surprised by. But
We should talk about that.
in recent weeks, I you know, not even recent weeks, in the last year or so, you know, I have grown fond of George H.W. Bush. And
Really?
Yeah, because you got to compare him to the guy in the White House, who I'm
Wow.
proud to say that we haven't mentioned his name in this, going on 53 minutes.
After talking to the owner of this establishment that allows us to operate from his establishment, he raised a good point, and we need to be a little bit more strident and talking about some other politics, not just hammering on the sore thumb over and over. And so I completely agree with you, and I think we're on the right track.
Yeah.
I think we're going to get so
even
many listeners off this podcast.
For me, not only that, it's in a way it is hammering on that sore thumb by not mentioning it, because I think that the media mentions him too much. It's one of the reasons he won the 2016
Feeding the beast,
election.
man.
Free advertising.
No press is bad press.
Let's not give him free advertising.
Love it, and I love you. This is a wonderful podcast so far. So your respect for Bush Senior has grown in the past week.
It evolved. It evolved in the past year or so. So I'm very comfortable with saying that, it's a loss, and I respected him, and he was a hero, and somebody that, I could actually admire.
Sure. I am not there with you just yet. I'm aware of his activities that weren't exactly inclusive into all cultures, that kind of ostracized a lot of people and a lot of servicemen. But I will give the grace, which is not very characteristic of me. I will give some grace to his family and to those that do love him. I'm not going to talk a bunch of shit. All I'm going to say is that I respect the fact that a couple days after Pearl Harbor, maybe a week, maybe two, but you know what I mean, fairly recently after Pearl Harbor, he signed up for the Navy.
Yeah.
And he put himself on the line, which is more than the past.
Critically put himself on the line.
Exactly, which is more than the past, let's see, 1, 2, 3 presidents have done.
Right, and that's what I said. It's not. So it's not a thing anymore.
Right.
It's.
I get it. You gotta pick and choose your respect these days.
I guess your count is kind of wrong because Bush Jr. was in the military.
Yeah, was he?
Yeah, he signed that blank check, but. There's.
I thought being an Astros owner was more dangerous than being in the military for him in particular.
Considering the way he handled it and dealt with it, it probably was more dangerous. But
that having been said,
but still, anybody who signs that blank check.
Yeah, I get it, and I actually voted for Bush. I've said this before. I voted for his second term because John Kerry was just ridiculous. It wasn't a real candidate in my eyes, and that was after going through a couple Democratic caucuses in very Democratic states and seeing how Democrats handle themselves. I'm like, wow, you guys are just...
Dude,
you guys are
got
assholes.
Swift voted. You got Swift voted.
Oh, did I?
You did.
Well,
but that's okay.
But it was a catered ride.
That's okay.
There was hors d'oeuvres, hot towels served on that boat. It was a wonderful boat. But I was also young, and I learned a lot in the meantime, and that's what being an American is about. Voting what you think your conscience is and being able to change your opinions.
Yeah, so also talking about things that are rough for people in this time of year. One of the friends of the show, our friend Zaira Olivier, went through something horrific on Thursday night.
Oh, dear.
And I'm not going to go into it because I don't have permission from her to go into it, even though she posted it on social media. But
I respect your respect.
She witnessed something that was just horrible. And Zaira, if you're listening, we're thinking about you, and we've got your back, and we hope you're okay. And as somebody who has seen horrible things like that, there's no words that are going to make you feel better. You're just going to have to cope with it in whatever way you feel is necessary to cope with it. Just know that there are people out here that support you and are thinking about you.
And if you've just, absolutely, we love you, Zaira, and please reach out to us if you need anything at all. We can pool our resources and make damn near anything happen. If you're just now starting to subscribe, if this is your first or second listen to on School of Hard Thoughts podcast, go back a couple episodes. Adrian and Zaira had a great interview that's both available on YouTube and a School of Hard Thoughts podcast on all of our multiple platforms. Give it a listen. She's a very intelligent, forward-thinking young woman that has a lot of potential in this beautiful country, and I just wish her the best. I hope everything shakes out the way it's supposed to for her.
She's strong. She'll be okay.
Oh yeah, she is a force to be reckoned with, and I hope that whatever is happening to her right now.
You say that because I felt that when she
Oh no.
When she sat next to me, it's just like anybody else sitting next to you.
Sure.
But then when she opened her mouth, especially I said a few things, and she was very, very quick to correct me, but she did it in a way that wasn't like, it was like, oh, you stupid gringo. It wasn't like that. It was more like, no, actually, that's not really the way it went. This is the way it went.
Right.
But I understand why you would misunderstand that because, so...
All right, Zyra, so Ace wants to do the podcast with you instead of me, which I'm okay with. I'm okay with.
Because then we would have to rename it to Just Another Left Wing Podcast.
We love you, Zyra. We hope everything goes well. And like I said, go back a couple episodes. You'll see it on the meta tags. Zyra Levier, great American, somebody that we need in this country right now. And we hope everything works out for you the best.
Yeah, so to all of our friends, to Zyra, to anybody who's feeling dark and feeling down or has those moments and you get to that point where, you don't know what to do, you can pick up the phone and dial 1-800-273-8255. That's 1-800-273-8255, 24 hours a day. It's the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, and they will help you. And if you're a friend of mine personally, you can pick up the phone and text that number that you know what it is. I'm not going to put it out there on the
go
internet.
Ahead, Ace.
555.
Oh, KL5. We do love you all, and even though, and I want to press this upon everybody. The fact that you have sad thoughts or bad thoughts or dark thoughts doesn't mean you are sad or bad. These are natural thoughts.
Yeah,
it's natural for every human to entertain a variety of notions and thoughts in your brain, but when they start settling in, once you start having those, regardless if you're in a good place or bad place, that's when you need to either, like Ace said, reach out to a friend or to a professional. And there is no shame in telling somebody, hey, I'm not doing great right now. Yeah, can we hang out? Hey, can I get an appointment somewhere? That's what those people are there for. And you certainly can't see what might happen. This life is so chaotic, so entropic, that you never know what might happen tomorrow.
Right.
And you can't
so
know.
Potentially long. Like
exactly.
Everybody always says life is so short. And if you use the example of, the kid that gets, Tay-Sachs and dies at birth, that life is short.
In comparison
but then,
to...
the average life expectancy, even though it's getting lower for Americans, the average life expectancy is like 77 years old.
If you happen to stay healthy, relatively healthy, and if you can get past the mental stuff, you have a good 70 to 80 trips around the solar star. And that's actually a pretty long time considering
And in the end, at some point, somebody's going to be wiping your butt for you. Isn't that awesome? And
sending mixed messages.
Taking care of you and
mixed messages
bringing you food.
But, that sounds awesome. I can't wait. I'm already almost there right now.
My poor wife, I keep telling her, like, yeah, you keep calling me old man. You're the one that's going to be
right
taking care of the old man when he's really an old man.
But we do want to impress upon all of our fans, all of our listeners, all of our friends that we are here for you. We're here for each other. And despite our political leanings, our scientific, our religious, or lack thereof leanings, we're here for you, and we will always listen to you.
Yeah. So a little bit of housekeeping note before we get out of here. We are committed to producing a great deal more content. That includes.
Really?
That includes.
You're gonna keep me around?
Yeah, I'm gonna keep you around. That
Nice.
includes written and video content. And we've also added some technology to our repertoire.
Oh, yeah.
Well, actually, the technology was already there. We just added a mastery of it.
I thought you invented Skype.
I didn't
misled
invent
me.
Skype. And I'm speaking to a few specific people who have tentatively agreed to be on the podcast. Or expressed interest in being on the podcast. Get your butts in gear and either get over here to Famous Sam's on a Saturday, or get in touch with us and let us know that you need to do it from remote, and we will do a Skype podcast.
If any of our viewers or listeners wants to give us a little shout out or have a little interview, if you will, we're going to be doing Skype, so just message us, email us, and if we can make sure that you're not just a crazy person that's going to completely derail. I wouldn't even
mind having a crazy person
Really?
on. My problem, I think any podcaster or any broadcaster, problem is somebody who's going to get on behind the mic or get on the other side of Skype and not say anything.
Oh my gosh,
Silence
that's
is the death of broadcasting.
So bad.
Yeah.
And it took me a second to get used to this format, because I'm like, I'm over here being like, I didn't quite agree with Adrian with what Adrian said. I'll catch him at the next commercial break.
There is no next
Wrong,
commercial
Gringo.
break.
There are no commercial
so you
breaks.
better just step up and say it.
And I also need to use that in terms of my restroom breaks.
Right. There are no restroom breaks.
No, not in a podcast.
But actually, on a podcast, there are restroom breaks. If you ever watch or listen to Rogan,
I do. They take their little breaks.
The guest will say,
He's
hey,
also sponsored.
I've got to get up and pee.
He's sponsored.
And they'll get up and pee.
But Joe Rogan's a really good stand-up comedian, too.
Well,
he knows how to riff while people are gone.
Yeah, but I think you could handle that. Like, if I had to get up and pee, I think you could be able to talk to...
I tell you.
I
was thinking about a life in stand-up comedy. I told my wife, she was just like, I was looking for divorce attorneys in the first place. No? Okay.
No.
I'm not going to laughs.
No, not going to work.
Okay. Well,
call
Ace,
Preston. Maybe he can help you out.
I know where Doug Stanhope drinks. I know where he likes to hang out.
Yeah, I'm waiting for you to come through on that.
We'll see what happens. I don't want to approach him while he's faded.
I think that's when you should.
Okay. All right.
Because he's faded and then he'll commit and he'll be like, I said what? Like, yeah.
I got you right here on my iPhone.
I got it on tape, dude. You said you were coming. Don't be a dick.
What are you thinking, buddy? Are we about wrapping this up?
Yeah. I want our listeners to have a great holidays, and we'll be at you at least 2 more times before the big holiday comes.
Yes. The Xmas.
And hopefully we'll have some guests in here for you soon.
We will. I actually have lined up a couple of great local business owners that also have been my friends somehow for over 15 years now. But we're going to talk about what personal business ownership requires, some of the pluses, some of the negatives, and they happen to run a CrossFit gym. So, what CrossFit is and isn't, and how it can help you, and how inclusive they have become since their inception.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting because everything I know about CrossFit is negative.
Exactly, and I'm going to have them here to dispel that, and because there is a new veneer kind of going on over that business model. I'm sorry, workout program. Right.
All right, so I want you all to have a happy holidays, and remember that number, 1-800-273-8255, if things are getting really bad. But as I always end it with, Tracy, I love you.
All right, and from all of us, all the production crew here at School of Hard Thoughts podcast, from Gringo, Ace, we all wish you a warm, happy holidays. Spend it with people you love, and if you don't know anybody, come on down, and we'll love you.
Yeah, and as always, thanks to Famous Sam's at Gulf Links and Kolb in Tucson, Arizona, for allowing us to host things here and use your space. Also, want to thank Guitar Center and Gilbert, and thank you for being there for us and launching us on our way. And everybody have a happy holidays and find reasons to be happy. All right, so I want you all to have a happy holidays, and remember that number 1-800-273-8255 if things are getting really bad. But as I always end it with, Tracy, I love you.
All right, and from all of us, all the production crew here at School of Hard Thoughts podcast, from Gringo, Ace, we all wish you a warm, happy holidays. Spend it with people you love, and if you don't know anybody, come on down, and we'll love you.
Yeah, and as always, thanks to Famous Sam's at Gulf Links and Kolb in Tucson, Arizona, for allowing us to host things here and use your space. Also, want to thank Guitar Center and Gilbert, and thank you for being there for us and launching us on our way. And everybody have a happy holidays and find reasons to be happy.